we've only just begun to live.
Ooh, babies, we've been running down that dream for a while, haven't we, babies? Want to be a big rock star, got me a 6-string guitar, and baby, we're headed there. Right here on the Koyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network. Your ticket to flight in the middle of the night, every night of the week except on Fridays when we're out flying solo that night, man, and having a good time doing it. And babies, you're out there with me anyway, so it's 7 nights a week, though the radio show's only 6, man. We'll see if we can make it 7 one of these days, you know. The old man ain't worn himself out yet. I think we'll just like double up and just, you know, go crazy here, man. And just make it a Coyote Marathon here in the middle of the night. We'll just rock, 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 you know, until there ain't no daylight. Oh, I got that one backwards, didn't I? Oh, shit. There we go, blowing it again here on the Koyote Medicine Show. But only with the kind of style that this old man can do it in, man. If anybody's going to do it, they're going to do it with style. Just like old Wile E. Coyote and them old cartoon shows. Old Grandpaw Koyote, if he goes down, he goes down with dignity and style, babies. You betcha. I don't buy Acme no more. I quit dealing with Acme. Now it's VM, babies. They got the stuff, you know. I hear the Roadrunner Industries have become a global empire now, man. It's hard to do business like Walmart. It's hard to do business without they got their finger in it somewhere, man. I can remember when Walmart weren't but a few stores down there in Oklahoma that sold a few pairs of Levi's and had signs all over the store, made in the USA, made in the USA, made in the USA. I'm kidding with you, folks. But it's amazing how this stuff happens, you know. I had a friend that something similar happened for him. He had a little tiny truck stop up in Wyoming, you know, that he bought a piece of scrubby ground from a sheep herder up there on top of one of the sisters, the third sister there between Evanston, Wyoming and Little America and, you know, Rawlins, out in that country there. And put up a little gas station, really is what it was, gas station / kind of like a truck stop, but not really, because they didn't have any facilities. All they had was cheap diesel, you know, and cheap grub, really crap grub, you know, fast food package kind of stuff. And I mean, it was just, you walked in the place and the vibe just took you down to the floor. You didn't want to even stay there for 3 minutes, you know. Most guys go in there and fuel because it was like the cheapest fuel on the highway on I-80, man. So a lot of trucks fueled there. That place was busy, busy, busy. And all of a sudden, one day, you know, after he'd been there 2 or 3 years, the truck stop disappeared overnight. There was a real beautiful one took its place, you know, basically. And all of a sudden, he's got a chain of them, 200 or 300 all over the country. And, you know, inside of just a couple of years. And then the next thing you know, bingo, he's like, yeah, big time, you know. He's like, you know, in with one of the, got bought out by one of these big companies, or he bought them out. I don't know which it was, but from nothing to a big old oil company, he bought refineries and stuff. You know, it's a similar story to Walmart. I've seen this happen in a few different places, in a few different industries, where all of a sudden money shows up and people get big. And nobody says anything about it. Just, you know, they wish them all luck and success because it's America and we're greedy and we love business, you know. But it's a crazy thing, man, you know, watching the growth of these companies just come out of nowhere, you know. And I knew this one guy personally, grew up in the same neighborhood together, so I knew where it came from, you know what I mean? I knew what his beginnings were. I knew what the family business was before that, etc. His sister was like some matron of honor or something at my wedding when I was just a kid and got married at 18, stuff like that. I mean, this was the connected people. So I knew their humble beginnings. I mean, they were great people. I'm not saying they did anything wrong at all. I'm just saying it's amazing. Somewhere along the way, and now having been in and out of business myself a little bit, I've seen this. Somewhere along the way, you run into some money that who knows where it really comes from. But when they like you, baby, you can have a big company, but you guess what? You don't remain at the helm very long. But it's been in ways like that some of this Jack money, I call it, has taken over all of the industries in America. And they told people back in the 70s in these movies called The Godfather how they were going to do it and why they were going to do it, and they just went ahead and did it, and everybody just looked the other way like, good little sheep. So in this way, has a single hand, on the fudging of a whole bunch of laws and shit, has a single hand basically moved in and swooped up all of the economy of the US of A and all of the economy of the rest of the world in similar ways. I mean, it goes to one source these days. Now, it's not very visible in what we call the real world, not anybody even, because they got it stacked up all over the place and all these dummy corporations and stuff, And the CIA and government agencies are in there thick as thieves with these little businesses that they throw up to get away with whatever they're doing that it's covering for, or to raise money for, whatever. But they do a lot of this kind of work, So it's so intermixed. And somebody said, I forget which great person it was, but one of our great people said something like, when your government, I think it was Ayn Rand, and she's a little crazy, but she's smart about this one. When your government, or when your people get to where they can make money easier by, being wise guys, and getting it on the sly by talking, than they can by actually get out and doing something, babies, that's when your whole frickin' economy has failed. And it's true. And given the normal age and the normal way of things, see, we got this big huge dinosaur now economically, and it is a dinosaur. It refuses to change. It refuses to adapt. It doesn't want to give up its hold on the people. It wants to keep you dependent on itself, living on its sticky old goo they call oil, and living on its fake money they call gold. Whatever. It just wants you there suckling on its titty forever and ever, man. But you ain't gonna be. I mean, you're backing away now, because the whole idea of it, the whole idea that one person or one organization or whatever it is can actually manipulate the economy of the entire earth and get away with it. I mean, have this kind of discretionary power is insane. Nobody needs this kind of crap in their lives, least of all any of us who have a little intelligence and a great heart. By the way, I appreciate you guys gathering your heart together with me tonight. That's just awesome. We're going places now, babies. It's good to be back. It was a great little day off. I finally got to the hot springs this morning and got that. All the creaks and creaks out of my little body, got my energy flowing a little better. Those water angels are awesome, man. They really are. So guys, I might even have a small gathering over there at that place sometime, just for the fun of it. It's windy there all the time. That's the one downside to it. The wind is blowing most of the time. Not all the time, but it does blow a good share of the time out there, which makes any kind of gathering a little bit questionable. But we could pray to the rain gods and so forth and get us some good weather and have us a hell of a nice little party out there in that little patch of sagebrush alongside the hot spring. It's awesome country. So it's something one of those things that's on the list. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's get back and finish up this economic thing. I don't want to leave you hanging on that, baby. They're like, this one person, one being, one organization. It's a little broader than that, but it is one organization that rules the whole economy. The people get to this point where they say, well, that just sucks. Why should we let them have all this power? And they just automatically turn their back on money, and they get enlightened enough to do it. They suddenly realize, or maybe it takes a little time, but suddenly we realize that the money is valueless. There's no power in it. There never was. It was a lie and an illusion of a little scam card game to start with, man. There were aces up everybody's dang sleeve, and now everybody's a wise guy in this world, because there's been so much of that corrupt money. It filters down from the top. It does trickle down, all right. It doesn't trickle. It slams down. It comes pouring down. When you get into, look at your little neighbor kids out there selling drugs on the street corner, making 10 grand a day or something. You know what I mean? This crap happens all the time, and we wonder why our whole world is falling apart, Well, there it is. It's pretty simple, really. It's just part of it. The thing that fuels it is the emptiness that people feel that they try to fill with money and things like that. You know what I mean? Money and power are big in this world for some reason or another. Well, I'll tell you why. Because nobody feels at home within themselves. They can't be satisfied no matter how good it gets. They can't be satisfied. They, a lot of times, can't even allow themselves to have it good. They're so busy in a subconscious way, beating themselves down. We've been taught to be like this, We're all trying to be little baby Jesuses, kind of, or baby Buddhas, whatever, whatever basically philosophy you follow. But that metaphor is in all of us in some way, and we're all in some way trying to prove it either wrong or right or whatever, but we're trying to improve on it for at the very least, you know what I mean? We're trying to be in that space, and so we got to keep ourselves humble and wear sackcloth and ashes. My bare butt. Humble means seeing with the eyes of a child. Seeing with the eyes of innocence, eyes that know truth, that can't be lied to, eyes that don't know falsehood. That's what humility is. Humility is allowing yourself to be that loving. So loving that you will follow the flow of the heart in every instance of your life, and happily so, because it's the most joyous thing to do. That's what humble is. Because that's the ultimate slavery. What is freedom? Freedom to follow your heart, to follow your dreams. Where do dreams come from? Your heart. That's what freedom is, babies. Freedom is the ultimate slavery. It's subjecting yourself to the universal will of the heart, the singular consciousness that flows in each one of us, and always know the right direction. But it is fallible. It's built in a whole lot of flux and flex for itself. It is like, it is creative. It is an experience and an experiment. Even this one we're living in here now is most especially one of the grandest experiments and experiences ever created, and souls and spirits line up like crazy to get here, because it's such a dynamic thing. And yet we live in here in it, and we sit here and cuss it all the dang time, It never seems to want to flow in the right direction for us, no matter how good it gets or how insufficient it is, whatever. It just never seems to quite get there. When you get there, when you get your ultimate goals fulfilled in life, you look at them and you try to lick them out of your hand, and it tastes like ashes. You know what I mean? It's just, it happens. That's the irony. That's the sardonetry. That's the spiritual joke, the cosmic joke on all of this. Well, and it also works in this economic sort of way. So you've got a corrupt economy that ain't worth 3 cents. You couldn't throw a rope at it and rescue it. It just wouldn't even grab hold. It just wouldn't have that much intelligence. It's that far gone. It likes its drowning state. It's like the dinosaur going down into quicksand, man. He didn't want to wait around for the meteor to come and blow him up. He says, and it wasn't a meteor, by the way, it was a bomb. But anyway, when you become dinosaurs, that's what's going to happen, because you've outlived your usefulness. You become too big, too bloated on egoic and empty feelings and so forth, and heartless to top it all off, Not that you don't have a heart in there. Yes, of course you do. That's why you're not going to die. This time, dinosaur, you transform, baby. Where do you think the phoenix comes from? Out of that dinosaur ass of yours, man. After that sorry thing gets its butt burnt to the ground, then maybe a spirit will bring us around, huh? Well, we're in those kind of times right now, and this is Grandpaw Koyote on the Koyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network, with a little commentary and a little sweet energy to help us get off in flight tonight. A little different theme tonight, babies, but it's rocking. We got to deal with all levels of this shit. This matrix that we live in seems so damn real to some of us still. And we just got to get over it. We just got to get through it, see to it, and be done with it. It's like I said on that little video the other day that I did up on the mountain. Something like, when this tree dies, before it dies, it puts its life into another tree, a new green tree that's growing right alongside of it, and gets it up and gets it going. And then the old tree can die, and its elements are still useful to the universe, and they're reapplied in very creative ways. Well, that's essentially what we're dealing with paradigm-wise here, babies. We are shifting the whole magnitude of the universe inside of ourselves in a personal sort of way. But it does change the entirety of the universe and our view and our place in it. It's pretty magnificent shit when it comes right down to it, babies. It's hard to even conceive of it, yet as I speak of it, your heart applies it. You see it, you feel it, you understand, you know what I'm talking about. Because we all been working on this one in this kind of like hidden sort of way, even inside of ourselves for the most part, for a long time. And now it's not so hidden. Now we're becoming conscious. Finally, it's allowed that we can see what we've been up to all of these generations of time. It's pretty incredible time to be alive. Ain't you glad you are? You know, even though living here is like being dead, and living over there on what we call the other side is like being alive. So when you die, you come back to life. When you're born, you're born into death, man. Isn't that wild? It's just a crazy thing. And some souls will do that. You know, come in and journey through the 9 months of pregnancy or whatever it is, because it varies. No matter what all the experts say, it varies. Lots of things in this world do. You know, there's nothing fixed here at all. It seems to be, but it ain't. But you go through that, and then you drop in and have your 3 seconds of mortality and croak because there was conditions and so forth, whatever. Souls will line up for an experience like that. Just to go through that, just for a few minutes of living here, just for a few minutes of breathing this sweet air, you know, this sweet atmosphere, and knowing the integrity of the flesh, the beauty of living in what we call the flesh. You know, it's a precondition that we've created for ourselves in a way, in order that we can learn to inhabit the organic, the maternal energy much more strongly as spirit beings than we ever have before. Embrace it all right back into unity consciousness, in other words. You see? That's what we're doing right here, right now, is we even just sit here and chat about it, man. We're bringing it back together inside of ourselves. It happens intrinsically. It's Koyote Medicine big time. It's sneaking in the good stuff for a change instead of the dark shit. It's the exact opposite of where we've been living for a long time now. It's just been getting darker and darker as time went on. Technology and industry began to arise. It got even darker and even more heartless. That's why I say the last 200-300 years have been the worst years of all the generations of the Dark Ages. Because people have become so disconnected and so cut off from themselves and have committed heinous crimes against one another, where millions and billions of people have been dying for no good reason other than the fact that somebody could do it. You know what I mean? It's been a pretty twisted reality that way. But babies, we create these kinds of experiences for ourselves for a variety of reasons. And man, if you can just live through something like that, if your soul can journey through the Great War and finally be done with it, you know, it gains a lot in the process. It fulfills itself so many times over you can't imagine. That's why it would choose such a dark experience for itself, for the amazing growth that can be hatched out of such a thing. You know, the amazing heart growth, the amazing compassion. You wonder where things like understanding, which leads to forgiveness, come from. It's right in experiences like that, the difficult ones, the harshest ones. They ripen us the greatest, you know. And that's why we go through them again and again, and why a lot of folks right now are having trouble of letting go of this end-time paradigm kind of thing that they want to see happen. They literally do. They want to see Yellowstone erupt, blow hell out of everything. They want to see the earth turn dark for days on end. All kinds of heinous things going on. Well, babies, that ain't the picture. That ain't the truth. That ain't the light. That ain't the way. The way of the heart has its own way. And everything it does is out of compassion and love. And when you begin to see this, then you've gained the understanding necessary that this entire planet can transcend and be done with all of that backwards behavior that says we have to make war inside of ourselves with anything, let alone outside of ourselves with everything. Because that's the basic human state up until these days. You've been at odds with your entire surroundings. I know the feeling, babies. I feel that way even at times now. I know I'm not anymore. I'm flowing with it. But at the same time, there are these times when you start to remember the contrary energies that you've dealt with all of your life, and suddenly they're there again. You're going to go through a lot of experiences like that, not just in those contrary ways, but in all of the behavioral ways you've established for yourself. You're going to learn as you go along where these all come from. It's a process very similar to death, but you're coming back to life, and it's much slower than a dying moment would be. So you have some time here to kind of manifest yourself, re-manifest yourself from out of that. Let that pass, that timeless thing that seems like it's always going to be behind us. Let the effects of that go as you generate into the heart of gold that is inside of yourself. When I speak of gold, I'm not speaking of the metal. I'm speaking of the energy of love that exists in your heart area at the center of your chest. That is gold. And all of us have golden hearts. They glow and glitter like crazy. They're the basic essence forms of creation. That's our little baby children in there, man. That's why I call us babies. Another reason why I call us babies, because we're little baby gods. We're just relearning ourselves, man. So we're still wearing diapers, but at least we're upright and starting to toddle a little bit now. We got past the really dangerous stages. We're going to make it, man. And this is going to be just all right. Take it from Grandpa here in the middle of the night. Your ticket to flight, just right. There's a lot more to come tonight as we talk about the effects of time. How we live through time, how time lives through us, how we manipulate time, how we finally can be able to let go of time because it no longer is necessary for us to experience things in this slow and agonizing way. There's so much magic going on in this earth right now. You stick around here on the Koyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network. Not only are you going to hear about it, along with a lot of good old rock and roll and a whole bunch of other pop tunes, baby, but also are you going to begin to live it. Nobody expects anybody to believe anything. I don't. Why should you? I don't believe nothing. Yet, I live everything. I know what is happening because I access my heart. Because I've been liberated and am liberating still from the avenues of restriction upon that heart consciousness inside of myself. That which has been subconscious for so long now is becoming a very conscious thing inside of myself as a person. Little by little, yet huge leaps. Again, I tell you, it's a process very similar to death. That's why a lot of you feel like you're dying. Even physically you feel. You go to your doctors and they'll come up with all kinds of crap. Start stuffing you full of pills and medicines like it's going out of style. All you need to do is something simple for yourself, and you already know what it is. Just follow your heart. Do it. You don't have to go to doctors. You can, and you probably should at times for diagnostic purposes, but you don't even need to know that. You already know. Just let it go. That's all you got to do. Just let it go. Just give it up. That's the real medicine. When you realize that, and that's when you begin to realize your own magic too. And that's why you take on some of these darker things like major illnesses and stuff, is to help yourself in this time, in this way, in this day, to understand who you truthfully are and to realize the creative power that you have in letting go of such horrible diseases such as could have killed you otherwise. But they won't now because you're transforming that death into life. See, this transcendent process. When you're dying, there is these moments, and time slows down incredibly so you can do this. Your whole life comes to you. When you're in a death moment, and you remember all of it. It's hard to describe, but you can take it in a single moment, and there it is, and you feel all of it. And and either you're content at that moment and you move on, or you're incontent and you're going to stick around and do some more with it. Or you're going to stick around as a ghost and be a pain in the ass to others for a little while till you start to figure it out and learn appreciation for what you've been through. Then you can release it and go home. Well, we're releasing souls right and left all over this earth on a night like this. There's all kinds of them being liberated. Even as we just sit here and talk about it, we create a love vibration that allows release. generations of beings are listening to this little radio show on the internet here tonight and all over this world. And they are releasing because they feel the energy of it. They understand the truth of their moment now, where before they couldn't quite comprehend it. I've helped many ghosts pass on the other side that never really meant to stick around and be a pain in the ass. It just happens. And we mostly live in the flow, and sometimes that is the flow. And you get stuck between realities, And it's nice when somebody can come along and that can talk to you and help you move, It gets them over the pissed off way really quick when you start showing real love on them. And I mean, that's what you got to be, is shining too, babies. That's how you communicate with the so-called dead. And you bring them back to the land of the living in so doing, because you can see them, hear them, and talk to them. Therefore, they exist once again. They're not dead, you see? Lots of people do this unconsciously. Now, those forms of communication begin to become conscious practices all across this earth. The dynamic of change is here so big, the governments and the industries are terrified of what's happening amongst the people. But that terror won't last too much longer, because it's happening in them too, babies. This is why I can sit here and harass them and talk about them and so forth. They're great saints and souls too, and when they get through it, when they understand the real love inside of themselves, they're going to become saints, baby. The exact opposite of what they've been. And babies, this earth is going to be the crown jewel of the universe. She already is. We just have to live past our illusions that say otherwise. These illusions that seem so real, these illusions we call life, these illusions we call government and economy, these illusions we call geography, ocean, sky. Yet understand there's substance, there's form, there's reality. But perhaps it's something a lot larger and grander than we ever really imagined before. Perhaps we're already living in some kind of a little bubble that's kept us away from our reality for a while. And maybe this whole idea of awakening is just letting that reality that we truthfully live in absorb through us back into this bubble, so that the bubble exists no more and only the reality does. It's a merging of realities, in a sense, of an unreality with a reality, yet they both exist as realities. That's strange stuff, because we're conscious in them. Even when we're unconscious, we're functioning as somewhat conscious beings, you see. That gives it a reality. It's the same way we can participate in a movie or a TV program. I hate to think about TV because it's been used in such a swindler sort of way. But anyway, the same way we can get involved in a movie and become part of it and experience the whole 2 hours of it as if it was several lifetimes. That's kind of how we do things here in reality. That's what movies reflect back to us, is our reality, the idea of it, the concept of it, the reality of it. Oh baby, truth is beginning to dawn everywhere across this earth. It's just happening. And this old coyote way is the only way, because that is the way of life. So I'm not saying you got to believe or follow or do anything. I'm just saying that's the medicine we live in, babies. That's the reality. There is always a joke to it, a comic edge. Sometimes it is very sardonic. Sometimes it has a very wry, tongue-in-cheek and a kind of harsh attitude. But it's always lighthearted, and it's always laughable when you get it. When the eternal joke hits us, babies, we're all going to be laughing our asses off, and that's when we find ascension. How about them beans, huh, babies? Isn't life rocking? Grandpaw Koyote, right here on the Koyote Medicine Show, only on the Hazy Radio Network. Your ticket to flight in the middle of the night, every night except Friday, but fly then anyway. What the heck? Join me in the sky. We always got to fly. Babies, we love you. Let's keep rocking, huh?
We've just begun.